Hey, welcome back to my show. Glad you could join me. Tough day. Ozzy's funeral. I didn't think seeing it was going to affect me so much. But, like, when you see the whole funeral and everything, you know, it's the end. Ozzy's music had a tremendous impact on my life. I think part of the reason I probably became a sound man is because I loved music so much. And part of the music that I loved so much was Ozzy's music. So, end of an era. I mostly feel bad for Sharon. I feel like with Ozzy, it was his time. And he had had a long run after being diagnosed with Parkinson's and some of the health problems that he had. And I know that he was in a lot of pain and that he's actually finally getting some rest. Then additionally, Hulk Hogan, also known as Terry Bollea, passed away. He had a heart attack. And actually, when I think about that, and I think about how those guys did a lot of steroids back in the day and all of that, he actually had a pretty amazing life length for somebody who does steroids, or who did steroids. That was more complicated because Hulk Hogan is an American icon. Terry Bollea is a guy who was sort of trapped between the personality of Hulk Hogan and living in the real world. And I think that some of the things that Terry did were not great. I think that Terry had flaws. But we all have flaws. And that only makes him the same as all of us. Then additionally, the lead singer / guitar player for the band Golden Earring passed away. His name was George Kooymans, Kooymans, and he died at 77. Then Chuck Mangione, America's favorite flugelhorn player, he passed away on 22 July, same day as Ozzy. And I think about his music and how I loved his music growing up. Yeah, Golden Earring. The Hulk. We lost a lot of big ones. The one I feel the worst for is Sharon. It really highlights how we're only here for a short time. You gotta make the best of it. Tomorrow is promised to no one. Yeah. So farewell and Godspeed to all of those folks. And may they all rest in peace. Yeah. They all had a part to play in the story of my life. In my next topic, I was thinking about a situation that happened while I worked at Dish. And it was one of these things where corporations are kind of entrenched in the way they do things. And they kind of suffer from thought funnels, where if you have anything that falls outside certain thought funnels, like, they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to route it. And one of the interesting things that we encountered during this particular thing was that there was somebody who had discovered a bug, which is a flaw, in the programming on the outside of our network, on the periphery of our network, with one of our web servers, and what it was doing. And they had been trying to get a hold of somebody on the inside of Dish who might be able to assist them with that for quite some time. And all the people in the customer service department, they had no idea how to get this guy to somebody that could help them. And it was weird because it sort of like got passed through some people and then eventually got emailed to me. And I investigated it. I read what the guy wrote. He wrote a very thorough documentation of what the problem was and how it could be fixed. And I sent it, through my guys to my devs and stuff like that, and asked, I said, is this legit? Like, is this real? Like, do we have this going on? And they came back to me and said, yes. Yeah, no, that was real. He actually discovered something, and we have patched it, and we have fixed that problem, and that was a very good catch. And I was like, right on. Okay, cool. Right on. Great. And I wanted at that point to try and create a bug bounty program for Dish, where if folks reported some sort of flaw, and to create a reporting mechanism, like to have an email address where if you find something, email this, so that instead of trying to go through customer service people, which have no idea how to solve a security problem. Matter of fact, that sounds like crazy talk to them. But when you get to people on the inside, that's not crazy talk at all. That's something we can do today. We can fix that today. And I kind of pitched the idea, and they weren't really interested. They sort of balked at the idea, and the amounts that we were talking were small. Like, if you find a flaw and you report it, we'll give you $200, and it turns out to be legit, we'll give you like $200. They're doing you a service by reporting these flaws, and then you're just kind of throwing them a little bone for doing the good thing, for fighting the good fight for you, right? And they weren't interested. We never did anything like that. And the gentleman that did the reporting, he just sort of got like the warm, fuzzy feeling of knowing that he helped us solve the problem, and that eventually he did find somebody who listened. And my point with all that is that corporations need to be adaptable enough to intake things that are out of the ordinary and route them to the right people. A lot of corporations do not know how to route things internally if they fall outside certain boxes. So if your company has some sort of flaw like that, maybe think about it. Maybe think about addressing that. Yeah. Because that person was trying to help us. And it was only because they were really persistent that they got to the inside and were able to help us. Because for the most part, we were basically trying to tell them that we don't know what to do with that information. And corporations need to be better than that, right? They need to respond better than that. So that was a lesson that I learned while I worked at Dish. In my next note, I have here, navigation replaces the skill. And what I mean by that is that I have noticed that the more and more that I use my GPS on my phone, like the less and less I'm cultivating that activity in my brain, and the less and less brain power that your brain will put onto that task. and it basically begins to rust. Like that skill of navigating without your phone begins to kind of fade and rust. And I have noticed that. And that if you use your GPS all the time for everything, it's almost like your brain has now offloaded that task to your phone, and it stops allocating any memory to it or any real brain power to it, because it depends on your phone to do that now. And just a note, we should not become utterly and entirely dependent on our phones and navigating. We should try to also navigate just using our faculties, I suppose you could say. So, yeah, I have noticed that. Too much GPS will make you a poor navigator. In my next topic, there's great new music out from Lilly Fangz. She's got a new record out that we just listened to a few days ago. And it's mostly, I would say, beats. It's mostly relaxing, chill music. Kind of just deep, meditative. Yeah, not a lot of lyrics in this record. But if Lilly is coming up with these beats and programming these beats, let me put it this way. These beats that she's got in this album, they feel like they're from 25 years in the future. They feel like they haven't even arrived yet. Like, there was some complexity to it that I really, really enjoyed. Yeah. So Lilly Fangz has a new record out. And then additionally, Kesha has a new album out. Kesha's new album is titled Period. And it's great. I really enjoyed it. She is now on the other side of the contractual nightmare that she was engaged in previously. And this record kind of represents her first album doing it for herself, not being some indentured servant to a shitty contract and an abusive relationship, right? And it's a great record. It's got some great beats. It's got some very danceable stuff. Kesha, once again, proves that she's really good at making danceable music. And I swear to God, that girl is just getting better and better as a singer. And in this record, her skills as a singer, they're there. She's got the talent. She's a good singer. And I think she's now at a place in her life and her career where she's making some of the best music she's ever made. Yeah. Yeah. So Kesha's new album, good stuff. You should check it out. You know, if you're into that sort of thing. I'll leave some links to both these records so you can try and check them out. Okay? Let's see. In my next topic, one of the troubles with humans is we're so locked in to what we believe that we know that it's very difficult for people to get outside of that. It's very difficult for people to just take the perspective of, I know nothing, I'm just observing right now. All of our beliefs and biases and all this come into play in everything that we do. We need to be mentally flexible enough to be open-minded to what's just unfolding before our eyes, and to be willing to step outside of being locked into what we believe. There goes the lawn tractor towing a little trailer. That was fun. Nice. Yeah, being able to step outside of what you believe and to open your mind to something is very, very difficult for a lot of people. They just can't do it. Yeah. In my next one, we are slaves to our habits. So try to cultivate a few good ones if you can, because you are going to repeat those things over and over. And if they're good programming, you're going to get a positive outcome. And if they're bad programming, you're going to get a negative outcome, right? So we are a slave to our habits. Try to cultivate some good ones if you can. And then in my next one, I was thinking about how I had a conversation with ChatGPT, and I was discussing how Pokemon cards might actually be a better investment than Bitcoin, because they're more widely traded, they're more widely circulated, they're easier to trade and to get rid of than Bitcoins are, and that they exist in the actual real world. Like, even if the entire shit ended tomorrow, Pokemon cards would still be in the physical world, and they're still cool. They have art, they have designs, they have, particular things about them. And that Bitcoin really doesn't have much of any of that. And that Bitcoin is also about collecting. It's about collecting and holding it more than it is about trading it. And that's why I think that it's so much similar to Pokemon. But I think that in the end, Pokemon might actually be a better trade, because I think that there's more action, there's more fungibility, in the sense of, because Pokemon cards are not as valuable as Bitcoins, they're easier to trade, they're easier to transact with people, So I think that's funny. I could be wrong, but based on listening to Rebecca's daughter talk about Pokemon, and then seeing some of this stuff out there in the world and how into it they are, I'm not sure it's any better or worse of an investment than Bitcoin. Yeah. So I thought that was ironic. All right, and then in my closing thought for today, we got to leave something for nature. We have to leave something for others. We can't just take it all. We can't just use it all. We look at the earth too much like it's a wallet, and not enough like it's a pantry. We need to respect this planet and the animals that live here. Yeah. That's what I would say about that. All right. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting. I love when you guys do that stuff. I really do. And thanks to some of the new people that are coming over here and watching the show. I appreciate you, right? And to all my subscribers, thank you. I appreciate every one of you. Until we meet again on the next one, I do hope that everybody's going to join me for that. This has been a Matt Medler production, copyright 2025.